Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Light with Final Draft and No Film School. I'm here on behalf of the Alliance of Women Directors, speaking to some amazing directors about their Oscar qualifying work today. I'm about to speak with Rachel Annette Helson with Good Daughter. How are you, Rachel?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Great to be speaking with all y'all on this beautiful, beautiful day.
Well, we're very happy to have you, and thanks for moderating, and thanks Alliance Women Directors for doing this.
Yeah, so I'm excited to speak with you about your short film, Good Daughter. I know that we chatted previous to this about your amazing, but I just love it's sort of a surprise of a short film from the opening moments where you have this character who is comforting an elderly patient, and then you realize that
Mhm.
she actually a con artist and she's not who she's actually pretending to be. So I'm interested in what attracted you to a short about a con artist who was conning Alzheimer's patients.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a taboo topic, isn't it? Well, both of my grandmothers passed away from Alzheimer's, and actually, my grandma Barbara was in a care facility while we were developing this short film. But I had wanted to make a short, and I had been connected with the writer Jesse Harris, and he wrote on the show Jessica Jones. And when we were meeting initially, we talked about how much we love, stories about characters that kind of live in morally gray areas. Specifically, that's kind of what I love to do, and I love caper films in general. And so we were talking about what we might want to do a film about, and as Kelly was saying, kind of these two things colliding at the same time. Me going through an experience, seeing my grandmother, and visiting those care facilities, and seeing all these patients that you know were lonely because their families didn't necessarily come to see them anymore because it's sad. It's sad to go see your loved ones. And Alzheimer's is something that has impacted the lives of nearly every person I know. So when Jesse came up with this idea, it kind of was something that just immediately interested me because I felt like I've seen Alzheimer's stories before, but I haven't seen one that took this specific approach. And you're right, there is a fun reveal where you think she's one thing and then she's another thing. And I would argue that there's two reveals in this film. Where you think she's one thing and she turns out to be something else. So I just liked the structure of it. I love a kind of a messy, complex female character. And I love a caper and personal experience with Alzheimer's, kind of all those things colliding.
Yeah. You mentioned being attracted also to this sort of morally gray character, and
Mhm.
I'd love to explore that a little bit more because I feel like you see a lot of con artists or this type of character who are male or a man,
Yeah.
and not so often a female character. So, what did you find so intriguing about that character?
Well, I think that I'm going to spoil the ending here. I know we're not doing spoilers, but I feel like I have to spoil the ending. So what we find out at the end of this film is that she is stealing money and pawning valuables from these Alzheimer's patients in order to pay for her own mother's dementia care because she's in hospice. And so I think that as a female con artist, it comes from a very deep personal place why she's doing what she's doing. She is desperate and driven, and it's not coming from a hey, let's go out and do some crime kind of place, but that it's coming from something that's very deeply personal. And I think that people don't expect you to have female con artists. So I think it's one of the reasons why she's able to kind of get away with it a little bit more. You don't see her coming. She seems like a really nice lady who's coming to visit her mother or her father. Um, it just so happens that she has a little secret. But yeah, I think that it's just a really interesting dynamic of a character because she is bringing value to these people's lives in that the only reason she can get away with this is because their kids don't come to visit them anymore. So she's giving them time and she's taking valuables in return. So to me, it was just a really interesting push and pull for a character and for an actress to play.
Yeah. And as we mentioned, we had chatted previously about how amazing Samantha Sloyan is in
Uh,
general, but also in this. So can you talk about casting her and directing her?
I love Samantha Slian. I thought she is amazing. First of all, like she plays all these characters that audiences love to hate, but she is the nicest human being in the whole world. She bought donuts for the crew. I did not know her when we started this process. I read the log line that Jesse sent me of this, and it's like I had a flash of her face in my head. And I hadn't watched Midnight Mass recently either, which is she's so amazing in. And actually, that's the reason why I kind of thought of her for this role, because in Midnight Mass, she plays a character named Bev Keane, who's a very different character. But she also believes that her terrible ideas are the right thing to do. And that's a very difficult thing to pull off as an actor. And I felt like Samantha did not judge that character. And as a result, that character was just very rich on screen. So I, I'm a swing for the fences kind of gal. And I was like, well, if she's who I can see in this character, let's ask her. Why not? And a friend of mine, Patrick Goodwin, who is the casting director at Chelsea Company, was our casting consultant. I put together a little pitch deck and sent the script. And I was like, here's the offer. You don't know me, but here's why I would love for you to be involved with this project. And by some miracle, she said yes. And she was just wonderful. And I didn't meet her until her plane landed, and I picked her up in Kentucky. And she's as lovely as they come. And just such a delight on set. Like, you really don't have to do much. She can hold a wide shot. There's that scene where Earl dies, and like a lot of times with actors, you have to cut to different coverage because it's you want to make sure you get the most emotionally resonant moments. But boy, she's a full body actress that can hold a wide shot for like a minute. That's very rare.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with her. So it's so nice
Yeah.
to see.
me too.
Yeah. You tell the story with such a playfulness. The soundtrack is very like jazzy and there's a lot of handheld. So I'm
Yeah.
interested in how you landed on that approach, and because this is a story that could go dark very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, I love, like I said, I like character driven pieces, and I came from an acting background. So I like to approach a lot of my films as though we're in the head of the lead character. And so in my mind, the way she justifies this and the way her kind of arc goes, she kind of imagines herself in a caper, as though she's the lead in a caper. And you notice that all the nursing homes are a little bit nicer than the final nursing home when things get real. There's a big stark difference. And I think that the music and the mood and the playfulness is reflective of what's going on in her head and who she is. And then when things get real, when she gets that phone call, the music stops. Things become much more stark. It's still handheld, but it's far less playful because she is now like in reality. And I think that there's a lot of a sense of escapism with that character where her reality is not that fun. She lives in a single room occupancy. Like she's desperate to kind of hold on. But when she can be these other people, that's the best part of her day. She gets to be somebody else's child and gets to have a totally different life. And so I think that I wanted that reflected in the creative choices of the piece.
I think that's so interesting that you came at it from almost that acting perspective too. Is there anything else that influenced you being both an actor and a director here?
I mean, I only that I was so I love seeing and I love being a part of creating rich roles for female actresses, because I feel like there's that old joke in First Wives Club that Goldie Hawn has, and I hope I don't butcher it, where she's like, there's three phases in the life of an actress: babe, district attorney, and grandma. And it's nice to kind of create a role for someone like Samantha, who's so freaking talented, to be a little messier, to show the good and the bad and the morally gray areas that I love so much. But I approach nearly everything I do as a director from an acting perspective, because performance isn't just a thing for me; it's the thing. And like, if I can capture if I have cast it right and I can capture an amazing performance on screen, I feel like that is very compelling to me just as a viewer. So that's what I like to kind of, it's reflected in my directing style.
One thing that's also surprised me about this is the scope. You have a lot of locations, you have a lot of extra background. Um, what were the challenges of working on a project that is quite large for a short film?
Yeah, I read the script and I was like, whew, well, we have some work cut out for us. We shot in 3 days, so there were like two company moves every day. And the biggest challenge was finding elder care facilities that would let us shoot because there's so many state regulations. We did shoot in one elder care facility that's a real elder care facility, and it was the scene where she's walking down the hallway and there's actually a 90-year-old woman named Dee that walks past her, and she exits out of the real front of that building. I felt like if we could put a few moments of the authentic kind of elder care facility in there, that it would buy us a little good audience throughout so that we could cheat a little bit, because some of those locations were, they were rooms that I wallpapered myself because I did not have the budget for a production designer. So there were, and you put up a handle in the hallway outside so that it gives the illusion of being an elder care facility. And then I was very lucky because I have a good friend in Louisville, Kentucky, who is a plastic surgeon, and he let me use his surgery center, and that was where Earl died. So it was a lot of just, I mean, I'm sure as with everyone that's doing a short film, beg, borrow, and steal to get your film made, and luckily we had a really good community around this that helped find those locations.
Yeah, amazing. Well, those were my main questions. Is there anything else you want to discuss about your film? I know it's a big question.
It is a big question. I mean, I think I would say I hope that people go out and see it. Specifically, to me, Samantha is the movie, so go see her because she gives such an amazing performance, and I feel like I'm her spokesperson. And we're developing it into a feature, so look out for a Good Daughter feature, and hopefully, I'd like to film it in 2025, so hopefully 2026.
Amazing. I'm very excited about that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your insights.
Thank you so much, Joe.